everyone, and welcome to P1 Broadcasting. It's Monday night, and you know what that means. It's time for the Indy Open Top Split, live right here on P1. You've got Murph, you've got Collins, and we've got a field, Jacob.
We do. We got ourselves just enough drivers to make this one split in two, so we got 14 of some of the top IndyCar talent here ready to take on ZANDVOORT, which isn't a track we've seen in a good long while that I'm aware of anyway.
It is not. It is not a regular IndyCar track. The nearest circuit that IndyCars have visited to this place in this particular track is Circuit Zolder in Belgium. The old Champ Car World Series went to Zolder in 2007, I believe, their lone year with the DP01. But here we are at the home of the Dutch Grand Prix, and this track, Jacob, is pretty neat. It is very short as far as Grand Prix tracks go, 2.646 miles in length, but it also has some of the, I'm going to say some of the neatest corners. Turn 12, which is Arie Luijendijk corner, turn 14, is that steeply banked corner that you see right there in front of you. You also have turn number 1, which is known as Tarzan, and that corner has some banking to it as well. And so there are different lines that you can take to through some of these corners. Overall, a very fast, a very flowing, a very fun circuit, Jacob.
Yeah, it's one that's obviously seen kind of a recent reprofiling for F1's return just a couple years ago, and it added a lot of banking to a lot of sections of this track, made it much more, I guess, a bit more comfortable for a lot of the very, very high downforce cars we kind of saw in that ground effect era that they were putting onto this track, because by and large, this track hadn't changed too much since Formula One left in, I believe, the late 70s, early 80s. So it's definitely gone over quite a bit of change in recent years.
You know, it most certainly has. We're going to grab some of the qualifiers. Let's hop aboard. Why don't we go with one of our broadcast partners, Nick Sudik. Let's have a look at Nick. We're going to jump up on the roll bar of Nick Sudik as he maneuvers around Circuit ZANDVOORT. The track record here is 1 minute 11.097. That was set by Lewis Hamilton in 2021. The lap time I'm expecting is somewhere around the F2 track record, minute 23.078, maybe a little bit quicker than that. As Sudik approaches turn 14 in that Arie Luijendijk corner, here he goes. It almost looks like a right-hand oval turn, doesn't it, Jacob?
Yeah, you talk about banking, and it's certainly one of those things that a lot of these drivers, maybe a bit more familiar with these cars on ovals, will feel comfortable with that very, very heavy bank. And you know, you talk about that middle corner, the left-hander there that's kind of banked very heavily. You'll see drivers kind of working their way very close to the outside wall, using as much of the track as possible. And that's going to be something I think that'll maybe catch a driver out. We saw it, I think, in the last trip, or one of the last trips Formula One made here, where Daniel Ricciardo just went straight off into that wall due to some sort of issue with his machine. And that could catch a driver out very quickly with how close these drivers are navigating to the wall.
You know what I love about this track, Jacob? There's only one chicane, the Hans Ernst chicane, turns 11 and 12, and that really kind of sets up the run down to 13, which is Kumo, 14, Arie Luijendijk, and then you get the big draft down the front straightaway to see who can fight at Tarzan. And Tarzan is a pretty neat corner, too, because there are multiple lines through there, Jacob.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be an interesting thing to kind of see how drivers navigate, as having those multiple line options means you're going to maybe have cars crisscrossing over each other if they get close enough together, and you're going to have to manage that. And that's tricky, especially in these very, very tight corners, as we see Kevin Burrell hit the provisional pole.
We did. We were riding on board Logan Edwards. Logan is 6th quick. It is a short field, but Jacob, it's a mighty one.
Yeah, all drivers over 3,000 in the iRating department here tonight. Strength of field around 4,400, if I recall correctly. So certainly a lot of drivers with a lot of talent coming into this one. Qualifying slowly working its way through here as we're getting just past the halfway mark in the session. A couple cars still yet to take time with the likes of Christian Hildgaard among them, and we'll see if maybe he is able to smack down quite the lap here.
So Shane Coker pointed out that the score tower is bugged. We just won't have the the pretty numbers on the pylon today, Jacob. Um, it seems as though ATVO is pulling their league numbers and not the numbers from iRacing today. So if that's the worst thing that happens, we're in great shape. I'm pleased to report, Jacob, that I have not dropped a single frame in two consecutive races. So do want to let a cheer go for that one. Do want to thank everybody for tuning it in. If you haven't already done it, make sure you hit the like button on the video, ring the bell, subscribe to P1 so that you can be notified of all future iRacing action right here on the channel. We're taking a look at Christian Hildegard as he comes through, and right with about 2 minutes to go, Hildegard is going to go to the top of the board. Everybody has now set a time. Hunter Smith checking in. 28 entries, right at the number needed to split it in two. I know Hunter was looking forward to running this broadcast. Sophia Connell, she's checked in as well, not running this weekend. That was a common theme among some of the community, Jacob.
Yeah, it's certainly a track that's very, very tricky and maybe not one a ton wanted to spend maybe the time to get settled in on, given that it's very infrequently appeared. However, I imagine the drivers that have really honed their craft on this track this week are really going to show us just what they've got around here. As I've done a number of races here now recently, having picked up this track for recent runs in the USF 2000s, it's a track that very much rewards pushing each and every corner and each driver to their absolute limits. So we'll see that over the course of the 34 laps here tonight.
Absolutely. So less than a minute to go, and Lilac Zier is still circulating. So for lack of better, we're gonna show her as she navigates the course in that pretty in pink, or is that purple, pastel purple? Number
well, I
11
believe that's
machine.
probably a lilac mark.
A lilac. See, I don't know all the colors of the Crayola in the box, so. Blame that on me. Lilac Zier comes through. Kevin Brell, the general, also circulating around. These laps do not count. You only get 2 that count, but Zier is choosing to get some extra practice, Jacob.
Yeah, that's a good thing to use kind of the extra qualifying time for as we're getting to the last maybe dozen so odd seconds here in qualifying. You navigate that very tricky banked corner in the early portion of the lap here, and then you navigate this very long S section. And I think the big thing that we're going to see is a lot of very high speed, high commitment driving tonight from everybody, and that's going to put people a bit on edge, maybe more than we've seen in recent weeks.
It may very well indeed. Qualifying time has expired, and Jacob, you know what that means. We're going to have a grid on the pole. Christian Hildegard, minute 15, 9:37, so right about halfway between the Formula 1 track record and the F2 track record. Kevin Brell, the general, it's a fiercely forward lockout on that front row. Brell is going to start second. Then Anna Klimek, Jarrett Curry are going to go from row 2. Alan Berteau, or Nick Sudik, he's going to start 5th. Alan Berteau is 6th. Aman Lal 7th. Logan Edwards 8th. Indy Kirkenbauer and Nigel Honegger will round out your top 10. In 11th, Isabel Matthews. Thomas Sturm is 12th. Lilac Zier 13th. And Connor Parise is going to go from the final starting spot. Nearly, Jacob, Connor Parise, nearly 9 seconds off the pace set by pole setter Hildegard. Hildegard 3/10 quicker than the general Kevin Brell. That's anytime you can go 3/10 quicker than Kevin Brell around a circuit with right turns, you've done something. You've done something pretty special.
Yeah, certainly a solid margin at the front between the two fiercely forward drivers. But as they say, qualifying is one lap, a race is many, and you're going to have to tackle this track many times over to make it to the finish here tonight. Looks like a number of drivers are starting on the black tire. We're going to see Indy do the old switcheroo. He'll be one of the few starting on the alternates as it looks right now. So it seems like drivers are going to be looking to make the most of these black sidewall tires before hopping on to potentially a shorter alternate tire stint.
Yes, they will. 34 laps here. Do you have a question from the crowd? Micah GP8 wants to know, is this a league or an official? This is the official top split of the Indy Open Series. So open setups, road courses, street courses, short ovals, super speedways, you name them, we run them. If you can get your iRating up there, you too can join in the broadcasted split. Tonight's a little bit of a weird one in that this track not as popular, and so 28 signed up. Instead of the one massive split, we got two of the minimum size splits. Sadly, a lot of our friends that are normally with us are not here, but typically, price of poker here is about $3,000 in iRating on road courses. It tends to skew a little bit higher when we go to ovals, just because there are a lot of drivers that only race this car on ovals. I would be one of those. My road iRating is not very good. My road iRating, or my oval iRating, is much better. So Jacob Collins could make both splits, but I could not.
Well, I carry a big scary number that sometimes even scares myself with both Formula and Oval over 5,000. So certainly not going to toot my horn. I got that through gaming the system a little bit, but nonetheless, price to get in very high. Any driver able to make it in here, very competent at wheeling these cars on the road side of things.
Most certainly so. And this race is kind of, to me, an equalizer. Yeah, you've got the two Fiercely Ford cars up front, three of the cars in the top five, but Jarrett Curry, very, very good road racer. He's going to slide in fourth. Anna Klimek, of course, has been on a tear of recent. Kanana the Deer get up there and break up that Fiercely Ford duo. We're set to find out, Jacob, as we get through 34 laps here at Zandvoort.
Yeah, and I was just taking a quick glance at the point standings, and Klimek actually leads the standings as it stands on 1,765 over Alan Berteau, who sits on 1,609. Kevin Burrell would be the next driver up. He's sitting on 1,586 points with 1 week left to count, so this might be a good opportunity for Kevin to maybe score some crucial points and a fairly nice strength of field here from Zandvoort as we get to the closing couple weeks of the season.
Indeed. It takes a minute to get around this place. Even if you're following a Porsche 911, as you see the second and third rows, sound collision for Anna Klimek. Sudik was trying to make the pass before they even threw the green flag. But, Jacob, we're about ready to get rid of the pace car and head off to the green flag. Hunter Smith is way too kind to me. And, Micah, it goes off the formula license for oval races to get in the show. So that's a variance of this car, is that sometimes you'll see high formula rating drivers with very little oval experience be able to run these cars on an oval.
Yeah, the crossing of the streams is ever continual as we start rounding through that chicane, through the very nicely banked left-hander here, and work our way towards, I guess, kind of the most iconic corner on this track nowadays, and that very heavily banked right-hander to close out the lap. It
most certainly is. It's one of the more iconic. Corners in just about all of motorsports, Jacob. You don't see a bank corner in a Formula One course very often. If you recall back in the day, the Formula One guys, they didn't much like going through at 9 degrees 6 minutes in Indianapolis. This thing, it looks like Bristol when you go through it.
Banked as far as the eyes can see. Pace car will pull off here shortly. Fiercely Forward in control of the field on the front row.
Here we go. Barney's got the green flag in the air. Kristen Hildegard is going to stand on the loud pedal, and away we go. And already we are 3 wide for second.
Yeah, Klimek makes the move to the inside early on Burrell. That'll drop Burrell down to third. Logan Edwards was hanging on the other side of the track there. He'll hang on to fourth as it stands. He's under fire from some more Fiercely Forward machines behind him with Sudik and Berteau hot on his heels.
He is indeed. We've got one car around. That is Logan Edwards. And there is a large stack up. Jacob. We're going to go back and get to it. Oh, car's hard in the wall. I believe that is going to be at turn 7. Nick Sudik, we saw broken. Logan Edwards was in the middle of that action. Also, the number 8 machine of Amon Lail, and there you go. My goodness, already a mess, and several good cars have gone around there. You see Amon Lale getting his machine going. Logan Edwards has also got his machine righted, but he is already out of the race. Nick Sudik, he's got a meatball, Jacob.
Yeah, it looks like Edwards maybe just took a little bit too much wheel on the lower lane of the track there and was trying to stay on the bottom there, not skirt out too far away, and just ultimately snapped around and caused pretty much everybody behind him to pirouette around him in one way or another, and a number of drivers are going to have to come down the pit lane for some damage repairs.
Yeah, there comes Nick Sudik. Amon Lale, the left front is ripped completely off that Velocity Online racing machine. Amon Lale is going to pit and be out of this one. Sudik may be able to get his car fixed. It didn't appear as though anything was too terribly askew on that number 7, so he just may have some lengthy repair. But Amon Lale, that car is not in good shape. You can see the left front flopping. Left side pod is missing a lot of bodywork, and that's going to be day done for Amon Lale. We're going to go back to the battle for second. Anna Klimek jumped into second place on the start, and she has a lot of trouble on her heels in the form of the General Kevin Burrell.
Yeah, Kevin's going to be hot on the back of Klimek probably the entirety of the stint here, if it's to be believed. Got to imagine he maybe just got caught out on the start with the positioning of all the cars around him and maybe lost sight of where exactly he needed to put his machine. He'll be looking to make the charge back towards Anna past and maybe start hunting down his fiercely forward teammate Christian Hildgaard.
He will indeed. There you see Kevin Burrell. The conditions here are pretty much ideal, Jacob. 67 in the air, 70 on the track. Little breath of wind out of the east-northeast at 4 miles an hour. It's mostly cloudy. Not anything to worry about weather-wise for these drivers. But Kevin Burrell would love to hunt down Anna Klimek and get into that second spot behind teammate Hildegard.
Yeah, you certainly got to imagine that it's going to be a patience game around here in terms of passing opportunities. Really, the big one you've got here is heading down that front straightaway, heading off into turn number 1. You know, you've got quite a good ways to wind up coming through that banked corner, closing out the lap all the way down to that first corner. I imagine we'll see drivers getting onto the push to pass, trying to make moves, heading off into that corner. And then there's not really much in terms of proper passing opportunities unless you're really, really close together, heading through a lot of these twisty sections in the middle portion of the lap.
Sophia Connell says nobody goes deer hunting except for her. I would think that there are several bucks around my farm in southern Indiana that would disagree with that statement, but I digress. The top 3 have separated themselves by something like 7 seconds over this man, Alan Bruteau. Bruteau himself is a second and a half clear of Jarrett Corey, but Isabel Matthews going after Nigel Honegger, and Honegger is missing a front wing, Jacob.
Yeah, I think Honegger got involved with that opening lap kerfuffle. He made it up to, I believe, he was running in 5th spot before Jarrett took that spot from him, but he's likely going to start falling his way more and more down the order as these laps progress. And these cars that maybe had to check up or got spun around through that opening lap ordeal are going to make their way by him as he struggles to get that IR18 around here with that left front wing missing.
Well, you know, here's the thing. If you're Nigel Honegger, you're running around here minute 21-1. That's enough to kind of hold about the 8th spot. Indy Kirchenbauer is coming, and Indy is the next man in line. But Lilac Zier, minute 21, Connor Priest, Thomas Sturm, they're in the minute 20s. So if he can, you know, if Nigel can hold right there and make it to the pit window, he might be in pretty good shape, Jacob.
Yeah, I've certainly shared the track with him a number of times, and he's definitely been one to be able to hold on to pace very, very well, even with damaged machinery. So we'll see if he's able to keep that IR18 righted forward, even with the damage, and hold on to as much track position as he can here.
Well, absolutely. The last thing you want to do is they come down toward Tarzan. The last thing you want to do is make an extra pit stop. So if he can just kind of hold on and wait for the pit window to open, he's going to be in much better shape than he would be if he made an extra stop. He's not losing that much time off of his ideal raw pace. We do Want to check back in on the general Kevin Burrell. He is right on the gearbox of Anna Klimek.
Yeah, there's a small gap that had formed up at one point in time, and then Kevin started reeling Anna back in. Also noting that I believe Jarrett Cory's made it past Alan Berteau for the 4th spot, so that'll put him trying to hunt down Kevin and Anna here up the road here. So he's, I think, turning about the same lap times as they are.
It's possible. It is absolutely possible. Indy Kirchenbauer has now caught Nigel Honegger, and Kirchenbauer runs it wide, going through the Hans Ernst chicane. And there goes Indy. He's still trying to chase down Honegger. It's worth noting Kirchenbauer is one of the only 2 drivers that started on the red alternate tires. The other is Connor Parise. Everybody else, Jacob, they took the primary blacks to start this one.
Yeah, long way still yet to go in this opening stint, I do imagine, since we're only working lap 6. You know, we've got 34 on offer here. I'd imagine we're going to see people try to at least cut this in half. I'm not quite sure what the fuel run is, but I'd imagine that drivers are going to try to extend one stint as long as they possibly can to reduce the amount of time they've got to spend on those red alternates. As we know, those tend to fall off very, very quickly, and you don't really want to spend any more time on those than you necessarily need to.
Yeah, it's not going to be the weather that gets you with the red alternate tires here. It's going to be the high speed corners. This track has a lot of them, and that's going to pressurize. Especially the rears on exit. One of the things I'm noticing, Jacob, as we watch Indy Kirchenbauer continue to fight with Nigel Honegger over this 7th spot, is that not a lot of the drivers really are using the push-to-pass button. Hildegard has not touched his. Anna Klimek has used the most. She's down to 172 seconds. The general Kevin Burrell, Jarrett Cory, and Alan Berteau, very light usage on theirs. Honegger blocks Indy Kirchenbauer nearly to the wall.
Using as much of that track as possible to try to defend this position from Indy. Indy's going to get the crossover heading off through the first corner here. They'll be side by side. Going to let Honegger back on into the banked section here, and Indy's going to be trying to look all over the place on those red alternate tires to try to make a move here before they really start to fall away from him.
Yeah, Indy Kirchenbauer giving it everything he's got. The driver dubbed the Prodigy by Gary Godso. He's in 8th. He's looking for 7th, and he has got a tiger by the tail. He's also got a driver in front of him who has a damaged car, and we'll ride along with Indy as he continues to attempt to get by Nigel Honegger here.
He's going to look to the outside, or actually the inside rather, into the chicane, think better of it, back it down. It's going to leave Honegger with a solid gap between the two of them now. Now we'll see if that dissipates as they head down the front straightaway through the banked corner now.
Well, I wouldn't think that Honegger would be able to get a very good run through turns 13 and 14. Honegger all the way over to the right, down to the pit wall, back and forth. Indy just needs to be patient here. He's got the tire advantage. He also has the advantage of having fully functional front wings. He just needs to be patient and wait on Honegger to make a mistake. He's eventually going to do so, and it may be right here. Kirchenbauer dives to the bottom through that left hand, but he can't quite get it done, Jacob.
Yeah, that's kind of just the difficulty of this track, is that it kind of narrows up in all the zones. It's, very close heading off into the right-hander there for Kirchenbauer on the back of Honegger. But it gets very tight. The track kind of contracts back together width-wise as you navigate through the S-corners here. That's going to be a very tricky task for Indy to have to manage as he works ever so close off the back of Nigel Honegger in every braking zone here.
Yeah, and again, it's just a matter of time, Jacob. It's Honegger's just trying to hold on. Indy is trying to make it past. Kirchenbauer would love to get through there as quickly as possible to make use of those red alternate tires, and he's going to have a shot here. He got a great run through turn 13, through RE Lyondike corner. He zings and zags back and forth. Can't make it work, but Honegger locks him up going through Tarzan, and I think that may give Indy the shot he needs, but Nigel Honegger is going to hold on here.
He's going to try to do the switchback there off the banked corner once more. He'll have the outside for what ultimately turns into the final portion of this kind of run through here. He's going to try to maybe blend back into line, carry a bit more speed through here. He'll have the momentum off the corner here. He'll be looking to the inside for the next right. Not quite alongside, but nonetheless looking at every opportunity to try to make this move on Nigel.
Yeah, Nigel Honegger has written his doctoral thesis all over the track here at ZANDVOORT, trying to keep Indy Kirchenbauer behind him. Indy would desperately love to get past. We're getting on to lap 10 of 34, and with that, we would like to thank everybody in the stands for joining us. You are watching coverage of the Indy Open Top Split live on the P1 Broadcasting Channel. If you haven't already done it, make sure you hit the like button on the video, ring the bell, subscribe to P1 so that you too can join in every time that we do this, and we do a lot of it. Immediately following this at 9 o'clock, Jacob Collins, you are going to have the Indy Next Open Road Top Split from Fuji. Won't that be delightful?
We're actually fixed set, Mark, but yes, Indy Road from Fuji tonight, or Indy Next Road, sorry.
Indy Next Road from Fuji, my apologies. Tomorrow night it's a triple header. You can start off at 7:15 with the INDYCAR Oval, Fixed Oval Top Split. That's live from Phoenix. In the middle, we've got the Indy Next Oval Series Top Split from Gateway, Worldwide Technology Speedway. In the nightcap, 9:30 Eastern, the Area 51 INDYCAR Series goes off from Kentucky. There's no Horizon race, and there is no Super Formula race this weekend, and so that's absolutely we get a rare Wednesday off at the channel, Jacob. Thursday night we'll have the AMA Outland Custom Arms Grand National Series, 8:20 pre-race, 8:35 start from Atlanta, and then Friday it'll be the AMA Archway Industrial Coatings Truck Series, 8:20 pre-race, 8:35 start from Atlanta. Saturday is going to be one of the final Saturdays off. We're getting ready to start the iRacing INDYCAR Series, Jacob.
Yeah, just a couple weeks away. He's starting up at Sebring.
It is indeed. And then Sunday night, one of my favorite races on any schedule. It's the votive INDYCAR Oval Series from Michigan. That's going to be at 8 o'clock Eastern Time Sunday night right here on P1. So if you're in the mood for IndyCar racing, stock car racing, whatever you like, we got you covered right here on P1. You're watching the battle here for the 7th spot. Christian Hildegard has streaked away to a 3.5-second lead over Anna Clement. Kevin Burrell, the general, is behind Anna, and that's been holding anywhere between half to 3/4 of a second. Everybody else is pretty spread out, but these two have been going at it hammer and tong. Indy Kirchenbauer over the sausage curb.
Yeah, and those sausage curbs are going to very much upset his car. He'll lose a good bit of time as they navigate through the double right there over to the left here now. They'll head down towards that chicane, and we've seen it kind of time and time again here, is that you have to have basically the momentum built up over the course of the whole lap to be able to make that potential move down the front straightaway here. And I just don't know if we're going to see that bound of momentum swing in the favor of Indy here as we work our way through that banked corner to close the lap out.
Well, I tell you what he did. So in the past few laps, Indy Kirchenbauer had popped out and attempted to make a move through the chicane. The last time, he followed, tucked right up tight under Nigel Honegger. This time, he stayed extremely close. He makes the pop, and he's on the button. And this time, I think it's going to be job done for Indy. He's going to go through, and Nigel Honegger simply cannot fight back anymore. Indy Kirchenbauer is going to take over that 8th spot, and now Nigel Honegger is going to fall backwards into the clutches of Connor Parise and Thomas Sturm, who are running at 9th and 10th. So we'll keep tabs on that. Honegger, though, he's not going away. He's trying to stay as close as he can to Indy for drafting reasons, I would assume.
Well, that also goes both ways, right? As the dirty air through these very high-speed corners plays a bit of a factor, you're going to see him start to lose the time, as ultimately the way he was able to keep Indy behind was just through how difficult it is to pass here, and that's going to put him at risk of even losing more track position to the likes of Paris and Sturm, who are, about a second and a half down the road behind him.
It is. He's already dropped a little over a second behind Indy Kirchenbauer, and you see how difficult that car is. The missing spot on the left front of that Aero McLaren liveried machine tells you exactly what he's missing, and that's not any good when you're trying to wrestle this car around a track as fast with as many high-speed fast corners as this one. Honegger lost 1.3 seconds since Indy Kirchenbauer made that pass. We're going to go back to the sharp end of the field. Christian Hildegard is your leader, and there he is by some 4.2 seconds over Anna Klimek in the Taylor Mills Racing entry. She is the meat in the Fiercely Ford sandwich. There's the general, Kevin Burrell. He runs along in third. In fourth, it's Jarrett Curry, and there's Jarrett for Luke Mansky Racing Esports. Jarrett is the yellow halo, yellow mirrors, yellow trim for Luke Mansky Racing Esports. Isabel P. Matthews runs in 13th spot, and there's Isabel. We've talked about Indy Kirchenbauer and Nigel Honegger. Connor Paris has now caught Nigel Honegger. Paris in the track racer car number 10. He is in 9th spot. Thomas Sturm in the old Forsyth livery. He is 10th. Lilac Zier 11th for Taylor Mills Racing. And Nick Sudik has come back out onto the circuit some 7 laps down. Sudik doesn't give up, does he, Jacob?
Might as well get out there and run as many laps as you can, try to learn as much as possible, and that goes to show that Sudik is one of those guys that's going to get his head back down no matter the circumstances here in the IndyCar competition.
Well, and it's a track we don't come to very often, Jacob, and so why not, right? You paid for it. You likely may have bought it just for this one race. You might as well get as many laps as you can and learn it. Riding on the nose, Connor Paris.
Get as much out of it as you possibly can. And one thing I've started to see is Jarrett Corey running into the 4th spot. He's slowly starting to chip away at that gap up to the likes of Burrell and Klimek. It's down to a little over 7 seconds now. Not likely for him to chip all the way back in before the end of this stint here, but, little by little, he's kind of worked his way closer and closer. We'll see if he's continually able to do that as this race progresses, maybe work his way into podium position before this one rolls out.
He has indeed. There's Jarrett Corey. He is 7.3 or 7.4, depending on where the markers are, behind the general Kevin Burrell. Last lap for Burrell, minute 18.908. For Jarrett Corey, minute 18.813. Now here, this is an interesting one. Jacob. Both Kevin Burrell and Jarrett Corey have exactly the same fastest lap time, minute 18.551. Anna Klimek's fastest lap is only 5 thousandths of a second difference at a minute 18.556.
I think that just goes to show how kind of the pointy end of the stick is very hard to make any pointier when you've got so little in terms of lap time to start shaving off. When you get into kind of that 70 some odd second bracket, there's just very little opportunity to kind of shave that down any more than these drivers already have.
There isn't. Let's flash back to Connor Paris. He is in the 8th spot, and he is now going to do battle with Nigel Honegger. Honegger has been ensconced in 7th since Indy Kirchenbauer got past him. Indy, by the way, has stopped and put on his set of primary black tires, so he ran 16 laps before he gave up and came in. 15 laps, which means everybody else should be due here within the next 2 or 3 if they wanted to push the red alternate tires to the limit.
Yeah, it looks like drivers are probably able to get around 20 some odd laps on the fuel here. So certainly going to be a matter of time before we see everybody try to peel on down, maybe try to run the short stint on those red alternate tires to close the race out. The 15 laps that Indy ran is probably putting them right at the point where he wanted to get onto the primaries and run it out to the end of the race. So I'd imagine we'll see the rest of the field kind of do the inverse of that and run 20 or so on the blacks to get onto those red alternates.
It was indeed. We saw Connor Paris get through Nigel Honegger from the onboard, and now we're looking off the back of Honegger, and he is immediately going to come under attack from Thomas Sturm, and he's trying to get back around. He's trying to get back around Connor Preece, but I got to believe the tires on that Honegger machine have got to be about fried, especially the fronts, Jacob. He's run this entire first stint basically without a left front wing.
Yeah, he was involved in kind of the opening lap collision through the first of the really heavily banked corners, that very tight left-hander early on in the lap when there were cars pirouetting from the start to the finish of that one. And he'll be looking to get into the pit lane at some point here, fix the front of that car, maybe start to bound his way back forward before this one closes out.
Yeah, he's only going to have to do another couple of laps before he's in the window with where Indy Kirchenbauer stopped on his red alternate stint. So, Nigel, hang on for another couple of laps. You can bring it in and get it fixed. It is about a 5-second addition to the pit stop in order to get that front wing replaced. And that's why Nigel Honegger is fighting so hard against these other cars. He wants to keep them as close as he can, knowing he's going to have that extra repair.
Yeah, it's usually a couple seconds, usually around 5 or so, to get that front wing replaced, since they don't tend to put it back together in pieces. They just take the whole thing off with a pin and plug it back on with a new one. But that's still time that you're going to take away potentially from being able to run against these cars. So if you can keep them behind you, then you're going to be closer to them when you come out from that repair and that pit stop. So we'll see as the race progresses if he's able to get back in even keel with these cars just off ahead of him.
Indeed. You've got on board Thomas Sturm as he chases Connor Parise. As Parise had gotten past Honegger, Thomas Sturm had caught both of them. This is a tire battle, too, because Connor Parise is still on the red alternate tires. Sturm is on the black primaries, and you would think that the advantage would be to Thomas Sturm so late in this run, Jacob.
You'd think so, but it's also entirely possible that Parise has found something that makes it where those red alternates haven't fallen off quite as hard. Last time by, he was only a couple tenths slower than Sturm behind him, and he doesn't have the benefit of the draft of the push to pass as we watch Sturm shoot to the inside here.
Yep. Well, that's job done. Thomas Sturm blazes to the inside of Connor Parise down into the corner known as Tarzan, and through goes Thomas Sturm. Interestingly enough, Thomas Sturm has been one of the most liberal users of the push to pass so far. He's only got 88 seconds left. Indy Kirchenbauer has used nearly his full tank. He's got 64 seconds. Christian Hildegard, well, Christian has not touched the button so far in this one. The leader still with the full complement of 200 seconds push to pass in his Dallara IR18. Do want to thank everybody for tuning in, joining in today on P1. You're watching the INDYCAR top split of the INDYCAR Open Series. If you haven't already done it, make sure you hit the like button on the video, ring the bell, subscribe to P1 so that you can you can get an alert every time we go live, and we go live a lot here. Just at 9 o'clock, we're going to have our good friend Jacob Collins. He's going to have the Indy Next Series live from Fuji, and then tomorrow night you've got a triple header. It's all going to kick off with the Indy Oval fixed top split from Phoenix at 7:15, 8:30. Jacob, you get to be the monkey in the middle. It's Indy Next Oval from Phoenix, from Gateway, and then the nightcap, Area 51, 9:30 Eastern Standard from Kentucky. Wednesday night, they're off this week, but 8 o'clock the Horizon IndyCar Series goes. At 8:20, it's the Formula Super Series on Thursday. We're gonna have the stock cars back, Jacob. Those guys drew a ton of viewers over the last weekend, Jacob. Something like 30,000, something like 20,000 people tuned in to P1 for those two races. It's pretty incredible. But the AMA Outland Custom Arms Grand National Series is going to be back 8:20 pre-race, 8:35 start on Thursday, and the AMA Archway Industrial Coatings Truck Series, same time on Friday. We are off Saturday because the INDYCAR iRacing Series has not yet started. Sunday, we're going to cap that off with one of my favorite racetracks, and I'll be in that race. It's the Votive Racing League round from Michigan, 8 o'clock Sunday night, right here on P1.
Yeah, just a quick race update here. Amongst all that, we saw Connor Parise have a bit of an off heading towards that first banked corner. Ultimately made contact with the left side of his car into the inside wall and has opted to tow it away. It's likely going to be night done for the driver, the number 10.
Yeah, he's already out of the server, so that's one position that Nick Sudik is going to get to pick back up here. So Sudik, he's trying to gain back his safety rating. He'll minimize the I rating loss. It's worth noting Honegger, Sturm, and Kirchenbauer have gone a lap down here. Christian Hildegard, who we're watching, is the leader. He has not yet stopped. We are 21 laps into this race, 14 laps to go here at the IndyCar Open Series top split round from ZANDVOORT.
Now we've got Klemek having come down the pits alongside Jarrett Corey. Those are going to be the first two of the lead group to have come down the pit lane. Klemek will move back into third as I believe Berteau will hit the pit lane this time. So we're starting to see kind of the takers on the pit lane right around lap 20, 21 here as we work our way to the closing stage here.
We are indeed. We're awaiting the stop from Christian Hildegard. He's built a nearly 10-second advantage over his teammate, the General Kevin Burrell. Anna Klemek is now third. Anna the Deer has stopped and put her red tires on. We are awaiting the two Fiercely Ford cars to do so. Hildegard is going to come through the Ari Leindyke corner toward the front straight, and he is going to dive for pit lane, and we're going to watch the stop. There is a small chicane here, Jacob, getting on the pit lane. That can catch you out, but Hildegard hits it just about perfect, pulls onto the pit lane past Lilac Zier, who is also in for service. In comes Hildegard. In comes the General Kevin Burrell. Sophie says that the undercut is strong here, Jacob. Would you tend to agree, disagree, or no opinion?
Well, I would think that would tend to be the case, is that could kind of put you in the better operating window on the red tires. We've seen it play out a couple times now, where drivers are able to get out on the later tire, get them up to temp just that little bit earlier, and make overtakes on cars that maybe pit a little bit later. As we see Anna Klemek go by Burrell on the pit exit here, it's going to be interesting to see if some of these cars maybe are able to gain a bit more inroads here because of that earlier stop. You know, we saw Corey make the overtake on Berteau that last time around. So certainly seems to be the case that that extra lap to get the tires up to temp puts you well in the window to make some moves here.
Yeah, there is Jarrett Corey. He came in one lap sooner than Alan Berteau, and Corey gets by Berteau. So move Alan Berteau, the defending series champ, back to fifth. Jarrett Corey for Luke Mansky Racing Esports is fourth. Now the question is, with that extra lap, are the alternates going to hold on enough, Jacob?
I think so. I don't think the one lap's going to be an absolute deal breaker come the closing portion of this race. You know, we've seen drivers already take them 20 laps without having too much of an issue. Obviously, kind of deeper in the field, maybe not pushing them quite as hard as these drivers up near the pointy end of the field, but nonetheless, you know, you can kind of stretch those tires. We've seen it time and time again. We saw it with the likes of Anna Klemek in Mexico City being able to stretch those tires very, very far. So I think if you take care of them the right way, you can get away with quite a lot on the soft stuff.
Maybe so. This is the best battle on the track. You are watching off the nose of Alan Berteau as he chases down Jarrett Corey. This is the battle for fourth. Corey has it. Berteau wants it. Everybody else is kind of pretty separated. Nigel Honegger has gone to work on Thomas Sturm, and that one is also close. Berteau sets the fastest lap. We're going to jump back and have a look at Honegger. We watched Honegger fight the broken front wing earlier. He's been to pit lane. He has it fixed, and he is going to dive to the inside of Thomas Sturm into the chicane. That's the Hans Ernst chicane. He gets through, and Nigel Honegger is going to vanish up the road into the sunset. He will be classified now in 8th. Indy Kirchenbauer, though, is some 9 seconds up the road. So Indy's in pretty good shape to hang on to that 7th spot. He's got 9 seconds back to Honegger, and he's got another 14 seconds up the road to Isabel Matthews. And now the best battle on the track is this one between Berteau and Jarrett Corey.
Yeah, Corey start to slowly inch away now. Gap sitting around 3/4 of a second between the two. But all it takes is one little mistake here, and that could all disappear in an instant. As we watch Berteau start to close in down the front stretch here, getting on the button, trying to do all he can to stay in the draft of Corey ahead.
Yes, he is. You know, Alan Berteau, and he's got a huge advantage with that push to pass. 83 seconds on board Corey to 132 seconds for Berteau, but Berteau spins it.
Looks like kind of a similar error we saw from Logan Edwards earlier on in the stint, kind of trying to turn down through that banked corner, just ultimately slides the car around. That'll send him a couple seconds astray of Corey ahead now. Puts Corey on an island kind of all on his own now, some 9.5 seconds adrift of Kevin Burrell in third.
Yeah, that's turn 3. That's Hugenholtz's corner, and that is a very, very tricky place. It's basically a banked hairpin. Think the carousel at Nürburgring, Nordschleife, but sharper, if that makes sense, Jacob. And there's all kinds of different ways to get through there. You can high-low the thing. You can go in really low and come off high. You can kind of run the racing line. There's all sorts of different ways to do that, and And it's also very easy to get on the power and get the car spun out right there, which is exactly what happened to a very experienced and well-decorated Alan Berteau. JT Smeaton says a new tire warming strat. Well, maybe. I bet they're warm now if they weren't already, Jacob. We'll get on board. We'll jump on board Christian Hildegard, and we'll show the fans at home what we're talking about with that turn 3. So Hildegard is coming through. I believe that's going to be 11 and 12. That's the chicane. He's going to set himself up here at turn 13, and he's going to hit the banking for the famous Ari Leindyke corner. This is the bank corner here, all the way around the bottom. And you kind of climb up out of that corner, Jacob, and you get down toward Tarzan. That has some banking to it. But watch in a couple of corners what's going to happen to Hildegard. Here he goes. Through the tire tracks left by teammate Alan Berteau, but that is a very tricky corner there. It's worth noting that the general Kevin Burrell has now closed in to within a second of Anna Klimek, and he's decided to see if he can hunt some deer this evening.
Yeah, he's on the button working his way through these S corners off into the right-hander here. And the big thing we noticed with that onboard from Hildegard is just how much the car's kind of dropping down on the front tires as they get through that bold corner early on in the lap here, and that could just be enough to get the front end of the car upset and looping these guys around, especially as they start to steer their way through it.
Well, and
so we watch Kevin Hunt.
Well, and two, you know, Jacob, most of the bank corners on ovals in the United States, we drop out of the banking, right? We come off the banking higher than the straightaway, and it flattens down into the straight. Here at Zandvoort, it's the opposite. The banking is almost in a bowl, and you drop into it and then climb out of it, which it doesn't seem like it would be that big of a difference. And in fact, this way is a little bit safer, but it does do some weird things to the suspension geometry.
Yeah, certainly a very odd corner for these cars to tackle, even with kind of the familiarity to heavily banked corners that we see on ovals for these machines. And you see Burrell kind of bounce his way through that carousel there.
Yeah,
it's to try to hunt down.
It's a hard corner. I did some test laps here, Jacob. It is very difficult. That might be the hardest corner for me on the track, just because of the way it's banked and the way it's cambered and the way you fall into it and climb out of it. It's very difficult, but Kevin Burrell has now got it down to just a couple of car lengths behind Anna Klimek. Christian Hildegard is gone, but the battle for second rages on.
Yeah, this has rapidly turned into the closest battle on track as Kevin Burrell is looking to hunt the deer, if we will, here in the closing stages as we work lap number 27 of 34 tonight.
Yes, indeed. Can Anna Klimek withstand the charge from one of the best in the business? Kevin Burrell is a former participant in the INDYCAR Pro Series. That's a fast shoe on a road course, and the General is trying to get to make it a fiercely forward 1-2. He's got the Taylor Mills Racing entry of Anna Klimek in the way, but Kevin is right there.
Hey, he's closed it up to just a quarter of a second as we work our way through the opening sector here. Going to work our way through that banked corner once more. Anna gets a bit of a shot off the corner, but Kevin's going to seemingly bound up the momentum here heading through the S's.
Absolutely. Kevin Brell continues to see if he can't go after Anna Klimek. Klimek gets a little bit free coming through turn number, what was that? That was, I believe that was 8. But the back end of the car for Anna Klimek is starting to dance around. Let's jump on board with Kevin Brell and see if we can see if it's going to continue.
On the button through the banking here.
Yeah, Burrell's going to have a huge charge. They are now just about even on push to pass. The hybrid deploying. Push to pass is active. Burrell looks to the inside through Tarzan, but just can't quite get there. And that's about as close as Kevin Burrell has been, Jacob.
That gap's about the same this time by as it was the last. It's just going to be a matter of can he build up enough momentum down that front straightaway with all the tools at his disposal to get alongside and maybe make that move before this race is over.
Very true. And for Anna, can she withstand the charge of Kevin Burrell essentially what amounts to 5 more times? Burrell continues to stalk Anna Klimek as we wind down the laps here at ZANDVOORT. Klimek again slides the rear tires. And Kevin Burrell there's nowhere to pass in the middle of this track. Burrell, no choice but to lift off and follow Anna Klimek.
Yeah, I'll hit the button briefly here as we navigate towards that chicane. It's going to kind of get the gap closed back up as we navigate through it, and then we'll be back towards that banked corner. Is he going to be close enough to make a move this time around?
Well, it helps Kevin Burrell, I think, that he's got a couple laps less on his alternate tires. He's on the button one more time. Hybrid deploying. Push to pass engaged, but just not going to be close enough, and he lets off the push to pass early that time, trying to save it. Anna Klimek continues to lead Kevin Burrell, and we're going to continue to follow this fight. Christian Hildgaard is your leader, and he is some 11 seconds clear. Everybody else is separated back down through 8th by 10 seconds or more. Sturm is hanging on barely to the coattails of Nigel Honiger, and then it's another 18 seconds back to Lilac Zier. Nick Sudik is 10 laps off the pace, still running. Paris, Lal, and Edwards are out of this one. Do want to thank everybody for tuning in. We've got another big crowd on hand tonight for the INDYCAR Open Series. If you haven't already done it, make sure you hit the like button on the video, ring the bell, subscribe to P1, so you get a notice every time we go live, and we do this just about every night. Stay tuned after this one, the Indy Next Road Series with Jacob Collins and Sophie Connell. Behind the Mics is coming to you at 9 o'clock from Fuji. Is it going to rain, Jacob? It always rains in Fuji, right?
No, we're all out of rain for the season in Indy Next.
But it always rains in Fuji. I saw that in a movie once.
Yeah, I think Rush had some good bit of rain. Yeah.
Nobody ever had to drill a hole in your visor, did they?
No.
Kevin Burrell just about lost it coming through that bank carousel there. Hugenholtz. You saw the front end wiggle, and that's going to let Anna Klimek just scoot free ever so slightly from the General. She's continuing to hold him at bay, and for Kevin, the laps are running out to see if he can't make a move and make it a fiercely forward 1-2 here at ZANDVOORT.
Like the walls in that corner want to hug and hold every car that goes through it, seemingly, as almost every driver tonight has faced some sort of difficulties going through there.
It is a tough corner. It's so tough because it looks like you can run through there a lot quicker than you can. And the car starts pushing up toward that wall, and the exit of it is very sharp, and it's uphill. And it can really catch out. Kevin Burrell kind of charged in there a little bit too hard. He wiggled the front end last time, and that move cost him a second on Anna Klimek. And don't think
slide through the opening corner there.
Yeah, I don't think anybody can deny. As you see, Kevin Burrell, he wiggled again going through Tarzan. He is pushing hard, Jacob. He just cannot quite get the measure of that Taylor Mills Racing entry in front of him.
No, and the time's starting to fall away even since the error, as the gap's now around 1.2 seconds between Klimek and Burrell. And I don't think there's going to be maybe enough time here, barring a mistake from Klimek up ahead, for Burrell to get alongside here. There's just not enough opportunities to get alongside this track here.
There aren't, and Anna Klimek now has the advantage with push to pass. 6 seconds is the difference, 30 for Klimek, 24 for Kevin Burrell. Alan Berteau sits on the mountain of that push to pass, 132 seconds. The problem for him is that Jarrett Corey is 17 seconds up the road as we enter the final 3 laps, Jacob.
Yeah, Hildegard working 33 of 34 here. We're going to have a couple more shots of drivers to make a move here. Burrell's really going to be the only one within range, potentially, if Klimek can maybe make a mistake for him and put him ever closer towards her. But one brutal track every single lap around here at Zandvoort, particularly with that corner. We've seen catch out pretty much everybody tonight.
We have indeed. Let's go check in on our leader. Christian Hildegard has put on a clinic. He's led all 33 laps except in the pit cycle. Well, no. He never dropped the lead out of the pit cycle either. He's 13 seconds clear of Klimek and Burrell, and he leads it coming to get the white flag. He'll get that this time by. And then for Christian Hildegard, it's going to be 2.6 miles to a victory. And I believe that would be his first win on this particular season of Indy Open. Would it not, Jacob?
I don't know if we've seen him yet this season.
It's possible we haven't. Christian does not race in this series all that often. He's more of an iRacing INDYCAR Series guy, more of an Indy Road to Pro guy, and so we don't see him very often. But Hildegard wanted to come out tonight, support the series, support the stream, put the Fiercely Ford presented by P1 Docs machine out at the front, and he has not been headed. And say what you will, Jacob, as Kevin Burrell has now run himself dry of push to pass in pursuit of Anna Klimek. He is not going to get that done. A second and a half back of Klimek. Say what you will about the short field. This race has not lacked for excitement. We had the battles between Honegger and the back half of the top 10. We had the opening lap smash up. And although it's been dominance for Hildegard at the front, we've had plenty of battling throughout the field, but it's all going to be Christian Hildegard. He's going to come through and take the checkered flag here at Zandvoort. Weaves it back and forth. Barney gives him the checkered flag. Anna Klimek is going to come around turns 13 and 14, and she will finish second. Kevin Burrell is going to come home barring a miracle in third, and there's Kevin behind Anna. You see them come through, and now it's a long way back to Jarrett Corey. There he is. So he makes his way through the final couple of corners. There's Jarrett Corey. And then we're going to have to wait a minute for Alan Berteau to come through. Here's Berteau through turn 12. There's turn 13. And through the Ari Lindike corner, turn 14 with the banking, the tire wall, the whole bit, Jacob. They have a safer barrier up there. One of the first European tracks to include that, by the way.
Yeah, they got a couple of them around here.
Yep. There's Isabel Matthews, and the final lead lap car to come through is going to be the prodigy, Indy Kirchenbauer. He battled Nigel Honegger for most of that opening stint, wasted his reds and the tire differential, but he's still going to come home second, and that's a fine run for Indy as he makes it all the way through, makes it home in the 7th spot. With the win, Christian Hildegard for Fiercely Ford Racing with P1 Docks. Anna Klimek, Taylor Mills Racing is second. Kevin Burrell puts the second Fiercely Ford machine on the podium. He'll finish third. Jarrett Corey for Luke Mansky Racing Esports is fourth. Alan Berteau for Fiercely Ford is fifth. Isabel Matthews, Indy Kirchenbauer, Nigel Honegger, Thomas Sturm, and Lilac Zier are going to round out your top 10. In 11th, Nick Sudicki soldiers home after the first lap incident. Connor Preece, Amon Lal, and Logan Edwards do not finish in this one. And I bet we've got some tired drivers in that interview room. This track, Jacob, can be fairly physical, and I bet there's some guys that are pretty wore out.
Turn here, turn there, turn everywhere.
They are so wore out, as a matter of fact, that they are not yet here. Anna Klimek is here, and so we'll kind of switcheroo around the order really quick. Anna, you've got Murphy and you've got Jacob Collins in the P1 broadcasting booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I've got a copy.
So how unnerving is it to have the general Kevin Burrell bearing down behind you, knowing that he's got 2-lap fresher tires and that he's on the hunt?
Yeah, I think my main goal was just keep feeding the dirty air. Like, if I just stay in front, then the dirty air will eventually catch up to Kevin, and his front tires were overcooked, and yeah, I did that. I've been in disbelief because it's just, yeah, it's like when you compete at that top level, I don't think people had expectations for me to keep Kevin behind for 34 laps, so it's a nice confidence boost after what happened last week. So, yeah.
Hey, I'll tell you what, I've never managed to do that. So, congratulations to you on the second place, Jacob. What do you have for the middle step of the podium this evening?
Yeah, it kind of looked like the biggest difficulty was just finding opportunities to make passes here. Obviously, you were able to get to the front or end up into P2 kind of on the start there. Kind of walk us through how important it was to kind of get that track position early to be able to keep up the defense necessary to make it up here at the end.
Yeah, so I kind of knew at the start pretty much that once the dash icons pretty goes out, you can just gun it, and I knew Christian was probably going to do that. So when I saw Christian reacted, I just deployed all my hybrid, and I think Kevin was a little too far up with Christian, and basically I called him napping pretty much, and I was able to get the pass into turn one, and I thought, okay, that's really great. Now I just got to hold off, and yeah, he was initially faster in that first phase. Kevin was definitely faster in that first phase, but once the dirty air and the tires started cooking, I knew I was able to pull away in that second phase, and that happened kind of for both stints. I just pretty much race strategy was just go hard as possible. I knew Kevin would feel safe pretty much and try and extend the tires, but I think for me, I just had to take the risk in the strategy and just go for it. And luckily, it paid off today. So, yeah.
It pays off indeed. Congratulations on the second place, Anna. You know the drill by now. Friends, family, sponsors, shout outs. You've got the mic.
Yes, so shout out to Taylor Mills Racing and Votive and our alliance as well. Nice to see that Indy got P7 today, considering what happened at the beginning, how his race went. But I think that's a very good recovery and a very solid job by Indy today. So he's improving every round. So it's really nice to see. Shout out to all friends within the INDYCAR community. Shout out VTubers as well, who's also probably watching the stream. Mum, Dad, brother Jacob, boyfriend Trent, Shane Coker as well in the Votive Racing League. We're at Michigan next week, so tune into that. And P1 Broadcasting for broadcasting these SOFs as well. So yeah.
You're more than welcome, Anna. Keep going fast, having fun, dear, and we'll see you. Well, we'll see you Sunday night. Well, we'll probably see you tomorrow. But we'll see you a lot
tomorrow.
Yeah, keep going fast and having fun. You hear?
Yeah, thank Mark.
Absolutely, that is Anna Klimek. She runs in the second spot today. And since we've got teammates on the podium, we'll bring them both up. Christian, Kevin, you've got Murph and Collins in the P1 broadcasting booth. You guys got a copy?
Yes, I do.
Sure. Yep.
So we're enjoying a double interview because why not? It's very rare that I get to talk to either one of you these days, and so why not have you both? Christian, first of all, congratulations on a phenomenal run to what was a dominating victory. We don't see you very often, but when we do, you're usually holding a trophy. Did it ever get boring?
No. This track is super technical, so yeah, the margin is big on paper, but there's a few times where I was very few pixels away from spinning at the turn 11 curb. We found out that was a very quick line, but also a very risky line to take. But the thing is, once you've done 33 laps of that, it's kind of risky to start switching it up. So I had to stay on it, and obviously had the luxury to back off a little bit. But ZANDVOORT can still bite if you switch off for a moment. So fairly comfortable on pace, I would say today. It didn't help that Kevin got shuffled back at the start, which I think hurt his tires quite a lot, and that gap looks worse as a result of it. But yeah, it's still a tough race here.
Well, we got to ask Kevin. So we posed the question on a Klimek. What's it like to have the general bearing down with all of his horses behind you? She said her goal was to fry your front tires. We saw you wiggle a few times going through turn 3. Was that job done?
Yeah, the job was done on the tire frying. I'm sure you saw, I had a little bit of a spot where I could, there was a couple chances to maybe make a move into T1. There was one in particular, I think, that I tried and, I backed out, and then I realized that there was, totally plenty of grip to go for it, and I probably should have. But, yeah, it was, there's not a lot to say when I get a 2-lap tire advantage, and then I just still can't get past. That's 2 laps of tire advantage is quite a bit here. So if our driving was close, you would think that I might have a chance, but it took too long. It just took too long to happen. And then I think, being in dirty air for that long, it was over. And,
it is something we sorry to interrupt, but it is something we practiced in our team training, and it's insanely difficult to line up a move here, even if you have quite a big tire advantage. The only real passing spot is into turn 1, and if you defend the inside, you have to be really brave to go around the outside. So yeah, it takes a lot of pace overlap to make that happen.
Indeed. Jacob Collins?
I'll kind of just throw it at both ways at once here, but I think the big thing that what this track kind of showed us is that despite the corners being maybe in the wheelhouse of the IndyCar, given its oval background, it's also a very kind of distinct way that this track is banked, particularly with that kind of carousel hairpin that caught out quite a few drivers tonight. And kind of walk us through maybe some of the things you guys did to prepare for that corner, and maybe some of the others around here in particular to try to get the car in a spot where it was comfortable enough where you could hit your marks consistently.
Yeah, the bank corner has a really weird line to take it correctly. It's not very intuitive, and the banking is so severe that you could always roll in more speed than you expect. And I think I did a pretty good job about that, but I don't know if that alone was enough.
Yeah, it's such an unintuitive line that you have to take there. And I think the best way to figure it out is just to run laps against yourself, either do active reset or run against the last lap delta. Just do a long run against the last lap, and you kind of start figuring out, okay, what's working, what's not working. because the line that feels like it should be quick there is not actually very quick, so you have to figure something else out. And while it's probably the most pronounced corner for that kind of trend on this track, there is a few other corners where you really don't want to run the line that seems to be the correct one on paper. So yeah, it's a really fun track for that reason, but it also takes a while to get up to pace.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, I tell you what, job done for you guys. 2 on the podium. With that said, you two both know the drill. You've been here enough. We'll let Kevin go first, and then Christian, you can close us out.
Yeah. I mean, I obviously shout outs to the team, sponsors, P1 Docs, everybody. I mean, we had the team worked hard on this one, and I mean, Christian showed that the pace is certainly there. So yeah, I mean, obviously it's good. I think, even if I'm a little disappointed to not get second today, I think the team is in a very strong place at the moment. I think we're really stepping it up, and I think you guys will see it all through IAS, hopefully. So yeah, looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's been a good week for us with the win for you, Kevin, at Iowa, and then here at ZANDVOORT, showing we have
That was big.
pretty good pace
That was
on-
big.
on 2 very different types of tracks, so that's always
Yeah.
good. And we're trying to get ready for IAS. I think we can still do more with the setup, but we're not in a bad spot by any stretch.
No.
So that's very good. And yeah, for my side, just happy to be here for a broadcast for once. You mentioned it, Murph. It's not very often I'm here. Time zones make that pretty difficult, but this is just a track I couldn't miss. So I'm very happy to be here and very happy for the broadcast to be here. So big shout out to you guys.
Hey, we're happy to have you two. Keep going fast, having fun, both of you, and we'll see you when we see you.
Thank you. I'll
Thank
see you
you,
around. Cheers.
Absolutely. Cheers. There's Christian Hildegard and the General Kevin Burrell, and I got to tell you, Jacob Collins, we got our money's worth out of ZANDVOORT tonight.
Certainly did. It was quite a race for a number of drivers here tonight. You saw the difficulties early on in the going for many people trying to make it through that banked corner. We saw it kind of catch people out even over the course of the later stages of the race. And ultimately, it was the guys that kind of were able to nail it down and figure it out the best that put their cars up at the front, come to closing stages, and we had ourselves quite the podium here.
It was indeed, and if you like this one, we've got plenty of IndyCar and INDYCAR Ladder Series racing from all over the place coming up here on P1. As a reminder, at 9 o'clock, it's going to be Jacob Collins and Sophia Connell with the Indy Next Road Series live from the Fuji International Circuit in Japan. Tomorrow, we've got a triple header. It's the IndyCar Oval Series Tuesday night top split from Phoenix Raceway. In the middle, you've got Jacob Collins at 8:30 with the Indy Next Oval Series from Gateway, and we're going to close it out 9:30 with the Area 51 IndyCar Series. That's the oldest continuously run IndyCar Series in the service. They're going to go at 9:30 from Kentucky. Normally on Wednesday nights, we've got a doubleheader with the Horizon IndyCar Series at 8 o'clock and the Formula Super Series at 8:20. However, Jacob, both of us are off this week on Wednesday. What are we going to do with ourselves, right?
No idea.
I'm probably going to sleep. On Thursday, we're going to have the AMA Outland Custom Arms Grand National Series, 8:20 pre-race, 8:35 race start. And on Friday, the AMA Archway Industrial Coatings Truck Series, same time. Both of those races are going to be from Atlanta. We're off Saturday because the iRacing IndyCar Series has not yet started. It will soon, though. And that brings us to Sunday, the Votive Indy Oval Series, Season 4, Round 3, live from Michigan at 8 o'clock Sunday night. And that brings us right back here for the IndyCar Series Monday night top split. Next week, it's going to be from Sebring. Do want to thank all of the loyal viewers. We had a massive crowd here to watch this one tonight, Jacob. And so we do want to thank everybody in attendance. If you haven't already done it, make sure you hit the like button on the video, ring the bell, subscribe to the channel so that you can get a notification every time we go live, and we go live a lot right here on P1. We also want to thank the competitors for all that they do, and we want to thank the people that really make it possible: the police, the firefighters, the military, the EMTs driving the ambulance. And Jacob, we'd be remiss if we didn't thank the nurse that unloaded you when you got to the hospital too. From the bottom of our hearts, we thank you all. Stay tuned. Indy Next is next.